When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? Same. I found out that they had two groups, one with me and one without. They never used the one with me though. Same. I found out that they had two groups, one with me and one without. They never used the one with me though. Yeah, for every group chat there is a mini group chat without all the annoying people. If you don't believe it, then I've got some bad news for you. This is the worst feeling. When I was in my mid-20s, I worked a job where 4 of us had the same position. The 4 of us did everything together. Then I made a mistake, and I apologized for it. But one of them just could not seem to forgive me, and aggressively isolated me from the group. I remember how shitty it was to discover that they had a whole group chat that I wasn't included in, and had done all these social things without me. I've always been lucky to have a lot of friends, and I figured out after a while that these people weren't going to be it for me. So I stepped away from those friendships and invested in my actual friendships. It still makes me mad looking back, though. What was the mistake? It's complicated, but I was concerned that the 4 of us were doing something that was against the agency's policy and could potentially jeopardize our jobs, but it seemed to be a gray area. I approached a person on staff that I knew could keep a secret, and asked him in confidence if this thing was problematic. He confirmed that it was not, but the other 3 felt like I had gone behind their back, understandably, in hindsight. I do wish I had handled that one differently, and 2 out of the 3 of them were willing to let it go. It was just this one person who turned it into a thing. When my phone got stolen and I lost their phone numbers. Mine stayed the same, but we just never talked again. Oh no. I think I might have fake relatives. I was invited to the bachelorette party for one of the friends in this group. While at the party, I figured out that I was the only person not invited to the wedding. I had been invited to the party because they needed another person to chip in for expenses. What kind of human scum does that? It's amazing what people will do to get what they want because they deserve a perfect wedding experience. My ex did that shit, would boggle my mind every time. She'd plan an event for 12 people and then invite everyone she wanted there. If anyone wasn't available or would bail, she'd start inviting people she wouldn't want to hang out with. She'd rather invite people she didn't like than scaling back the event. One friend stopped replying to my texts right after we graduated from college. Like the same week we graduated. So, I was pretty much just a study buddy that they kept close to keep me helping them. Same thing happened to me. Was friends with so many people during college, and the last 3 weeks was an unpaid work placement which we had to go back to the school to hand in our paperwork. Not one of them spoke to me or would even answer me if I said something to them. Became clear that I was only valuable to them when I was helping them. Class awards had me down as most willing to help classmates. Most willing to help classmates. This is literally a label which gets a lot of friends because it always attracts people. It can be a problem because you are always questioning every person you befriend. It is almost like you have to be extra careful because you are kind and helpful. Such is the world we are in now. The only positive of this is that you can quickly identify fake friends because they drift away without giving a fuck while the real ones stay. I remember we got given one assignment in uni, put into random groups. I was in a group with literally nobody I knew, all I had were email addresses. I tried reaching out many times, but no response. So I did the entire thing myself. Then, at the end of the year, you were told to assign percentages to each other based on how much you felt they had contributed. Bitch DS gave themselves all huge percentages, and me nothing. Edit, for all those asking what happened, yes, I did challenge it. Problem was, it was their word against mine. So 4 of them saying one thing, and me saying the other. But when this got questioned, I assumed they banded together, and denied what I was claiming. They did concede that I did a lot of work, but they did still give themselves a lot of credit. I think the final figure was something like me 25%, them 18.75% each. Not ideal. But most of them crashed out before the final year. I wouldn't say I have fake friends, but I am definitely the periphery friend. The majority of the time, if there isn't enough tickets or space in the car for everyone to go do something, I'm the one who gets cut out. It doesn't bother me much, but I wish they would be more mindful when talking to me about things we have done. Remember when we went to C30? Wasn't that fun? Well, no, because I wasn't invited. In those situations it usually gets awkward, or they say, hey, we would have invited you if we had the tickets, space, etc. Preach. Absolute preach. It's a shit feeling. I was recently excluded from a party where my friends got on a bus to go out of town. The friend who had the party said that they didn't invite me because there was not enough space on the bus. I'd rather he told me the truth as to why I wasn't invited in the first place. There were about 70 people on the bus. Edit, to prevent any future confusion, the bus was hired. I mean, at that point, if you're not making the top 70, I think you can say they're not your friends, fake or otherwise. In their defense, they had 69 people on the bus and adding one more really would have ruined the fun. After my divorce, we were couples friends, not individually. Same for me, my ex was crazy abusive and I had proof, and most of our friends took the I'm not taking sides stance. Well, here's the surprise, not taking sides is siding with the abuser. Especially because when they say I'm not taking sides, what they mean is I don't care what your ex did, I'm staying friends with him. Truth. I was very close friend with this guy I met in high school, let's call him John. Then he started dating this girl, Caroline. I never really became friends with her, but I liked her. We finished high school and lost touch a bit. They married and had a baby, but we still lived close to each other, so we would go out eventually with some other friends. So as 2019 I got to know they are going for a divorce, and I didn't know the reason until other friend that was closer to Caroline told me the reason. John was a very shitty abuser. It even got to the point that he pointed a gun to her, said she was a shitty mom and cheated her multiple times with underage girls. John was never this type of guy when we were teenagers, but his father always acted like this, and I think he developed this behavior later. Anyway, I don't consider John my friend anymore, and he lost almost every friend he used to have. I had to take a side in this situation and not only excuse him from being an asshole as most people do. This was quite a few years ago. My ex and I were really friendly with another couple. Did a ton of stuff together. Then they moved, not far, and fairly shortly after my ex and I separated. They hung out with me for a few months but then stopped calling. A few years later, I ran into both of them at a race, an ultramarathon, and they both pretended like they didn't know me. That was actually a really painful moment. I just posted something similar. When I was married, we were in a friend group with 3 other couples on our street. My ex cheated and we divorced. The group kept inviting both of us to the same events because they didn't want to pick sides. I moved out of the neighborhood and realized they were proximity friends, not real friends. That hurt. A lot. Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.